It's the Mazda MX-5's 25th birthday this year, and that gave us an idea. Can you, with a budget of £5,000, buy an old MX-5, get it modified and end up with a car that's as exciting to drive as a brand new Porsche Boxster, which incidentally is the current Auto Express Roadster of the Year? To find out, we'll be racing a modified MX-5 around our test circuit against the Boxster to see how close it can get to the Porsche's lap time. It's going to be tough though. The Boxster has a mid-mounted 2.7 litre flat-six engine with 265 horsepower and is built to be great on-road and also ruthlessly quick round a track. And we're going to try and beat it with a 16-year-old Mark II MX-5 1.8 IS with 86,000 miles on the clock. Are we mad? This is actually my own MX-5, but it's probably worth around £1,000. In fact, you can pick up a decent condition Mark I or Mark II such as this for around £1,000, so that would leave you £4,000 to spend on tuning, and you'll see how we spend that money later on. But first, we've got to see what this car can do as standard round our track, and I've got a feeling it's not going to be particularly quick. Indeed, it wasn't. When our resident racing driver Owen Mildenhall did a flying lap in my standard MX-5, he said it was fun, but it lacked power, brakes and had a lot of body roll. In the end, he recorded a time of 1 minute 23.7 seconds, the slowest by far of any car he'd tested. Obviously, we're going to need to bring the lap time down by quite a lot if we're going to compete with the Boxster, but I don't want to do it in a way that's going to spoil the car's original character, so we're not going to strip it all out and make it into some track focus special. It still needs to be usable on the road every day, much in the same way the Boxster is. You can get lots of information about tuning MX-5s on internet forums such as the MX-5 Owners Club and MX-5 Nuts, and find used parts and tuned cars for sale on them too. However, we wanted to build our own tuned car, so headed to MX-5 expert Scuzzle Motorsport in Winchester for some help.
We've had this car on the rolling road, it's made 113 horsepower at the wheels, which is about 140 at the fly. Unfortunately, you're going to need a lot more than that to beat a Boxster. The easiest way for big power gains on an MX-5 is with a turbocharger. It can take the stock engine to 250 horsepower really easily. The other option, supercharger, you won't get as big gains from it, but it's a lot more linear power delivery. You've got boost straight away as soon as you press the throttle, and bucket loads of torque all the way through the rev range.
In the end, I decided to go for a supercharger. That's because you get a more progressive power delivery. That's more in keeping really with the original concept of the MX-5, and people say it's just like you've got your normal MX-5 but with a bigger engine in it. And I found one for £1,000, an M45 Jackson Racing supercharger with lots of bits, an intercooler, bigger injectors, a standalone ECU for controlling the fueling. We've also got an exhaust manifold, and hopefully all that should be good for between 180 and 200 brake horsepower. You can also get a more powerful MP62 supercharger for the MX-5, but they are harder to find and they cost more as well, and I wanted to save money for other upgrades.
The handling of the MX-5 out of the factory is actually really good, but it can be improved upon. A decent set of coilover suspension, adjustable so you can tweak it for the track you're driving. One of the best options out there at the moment is the Mazda R coilovers. You can have them quite soft for the road, so they're really nice to ride, or you can stiffen them up for the track, and for the money you really can't get much better. The stock brakes are actually a pretty decent size for the MX-5. It's a little lightweight car, and yeah, they're plenty to stop the car, but it can be improved. So what we're going to recommend is the EBC yellow stuff pads, fast road and track day pad. The turbo groove discs, they work really well with the EBC pads. And then the braided brake lines, they will give a much better pedal feel. We can also add a master cylinder stopper. It'll give you a much better feel through the pedal and much more braking effort. People often forget the key to a fast car is the tyres. It's the only contact patch you've got with the road, so they need to be good. A great tyre is the Yokohama 8008Rs. They're a fantastic tyre, they've got a really nice compound that will keep them nice and sticky. They'll be fantastic on the track. They're also really good road tyres. They've got a nice stiff sidewall, so you'll get a nice sharp steering response. Overall, they're a great blend of track performance and road performance. With everything we're doing to this car, I reckon we're going to save about 10 seconds off your lap time. So that's going to be quite a big improvement, you're going to notice that.
Seeing as the car's going to have more power, I decided to uprate the clutch because the current one will probably start slipping, and while I was at it I thought, I know, I'll have a lightened flywheel to make the engine a bit freer revving. And I've got these parts from Fly Miata in the US, and even when you take into account VAT and shipping, they're still pretty reasonable, and they're about the best Mazda MX-5 parts you can get. When you add it all up, we spent £3,006 on parts and £970 on labour. Add in the £1,000 value for the car and the total comes to £4,976. Of course, you could save some cash by doing some of the work yourself.
Probably the easiest part of the car to do yourself would be the brakes. They're relatively straightforward, just a few nuts and bolts. A lot of people have a problem with touching their brakes because obviously it's a vital safety feature, but they're really not that bad. The suspension is probably the hardest part of the car to fit yourself because you really need to get the car into the air, and you're probably going to struggle with some seized bolts where they've been exposed to the elements for a few years. The Jackson Racing Supercharger kit is a relatively straightforward piece of kit to fit. It's a couple of brackets that need to be bolted on, and then the supercharger bolts to those brackets. Anybody can do that with just a small tool set. No matter how much of this you can do yourself at home, you are still going to have to go and visit a rolling road.
That's because you're going to need someone like Nick to tune the car so it runs properly and doesn't blow up. We decided to run the car on Shell V-Power Nitro Plus, as this would allow him to push the performance as far as he could. And as this before and after graph shows, our performance increased from 113 to 196 horsepower. So let's see what that difference feels like. Okay then, so it's the first time I've driven this car with a supercharger on it. We've got a bit of open stretch of road. Let's put it in second and see what the performance is like. So. Oh yes! That is a lot faster than it was before. Whether it's fast enough to beat a Boxster, I don't know. It's definitely going to be close. To find out exactly what happened, you'll have to tune in for our modified MX-5 versus Boxster track battle. Also, you can click on the video windows to watch our drag race between a tuned Renault Sport Megane and a Ford Focus RS, and our Porsche Boxster S video review. Click on the play icon to watch our latest video and on our logo to subscribe to our channel.